Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello. Hello, Game Over Network. My name is Mark, and today I'm joined with Kaya May. And today we have a home win. And not only that, today we have a home win with Arthur Seelovs and Nets. And we crushed Connor Bedard's dreams of winning in Vancouver. All in all, a very good night. Before we start today's show, I wanted to quickly shout out the flagship show of the Game Over Network, Hyperdrive Hockey, which is all things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Wherever, whatever and wherever it is, Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network, YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at the Game Over Network.com. How's your night so far, Kaya?
A bit hectic. Um, I was stuck on the Ironworkers Memorial Bridge for half of that third period, so yay me. But other than that, it was pretty good. The Canucks got a home win for, what feels like forever, but they did it like a few nights ago. So
True.
there's
But
that.
you know what? We beat Connor Bedard, and that's all that matters. I'm just kidding.
True.
Okay. So to quickly recap the game, just to go through, the three periods. Game started off with the oddest start to a game that I've ever seen, which is Mikheyev's. Apparently, if my stats are correct, Mikheyev's first goal in Rogers Arena, which doesn't sound right,
No.
but
No.
I'm not quoting sources, but it sounds right. But
Okay.
anyways, Mikheyev scored the first goal against us, which was it. To be fair, it was a tap in. I don't think it should have been a goal because of the fact that Seelovs let the rebound leave the crease. But it was a very funny start. But you know what? As soon as the Blackhawks scored, I immediately thought to myself, "Yeah, we're gonna win the game." Because you know what? We saw last game that uh, as soon as we score the first goal, we end up losing. Um,
hmm
so you
And
know what?
then
It's a
when we
fresh start.
had 8 games, like not scoring the first goal, we won a lot of them.
I think it
So
was like 5-2-1. That was a record.
yeah, so maybe we
Um,
should just leave the net empty for the first period and then
yep.
just see what happens. Because
Yes.
I just think the Canucks overall just don't like to play the first period.
Very fair. I will say though, Canucks played pretty differently. During that first period, you could tell that Tachi was actually taking a lot of the things that both him and the media were, I guess, like taking to heart. And actually started to coach the team again, which is something that he does the best. He does the best. He does best. Which was seen going into the second period with a power play goal by PD. And I'm gonna be talking about PD a lot in the second half. Sorry, the third period of the show. My apologies. But PD. If you guys don't know, PD recently deleted all of his social media. Right now, he's in pure Zen mode where he's just in it to play hockey. Um, what do you think, Kaya, about like the last few games from PD?
I think he's definitely got some of his groove back. I mean, I'm not sure he is mint condition PD that everyone wants him to return to, like when he was in his rookie season, but I think he's a more well-rounded player than he was than back then. Like I tonight, I turned on a little bit of just watching the first period on the penalty kill with on the Hronik penalty, and PD's defensive ability should not be undermined. I think if he continues to improve like this, I honestly think that um, a Selkie nomination should be in the conversation. Hey, if Toronto people are serious about Mitch Marner getting nods, then I think, yeah. I hope I'm not misremembering, but I think Elias Pettersson, he is unlocking a new side of his game while also returning to the original. I think it's good for him to get back to. I think it's good. Zen mode is good. Self-care is good.
100%. I agree on the sentiment in that like it's not mint PD right now. It's more of like a PSA grade 8 PD. Um, I like to compare it right now to like. Have you seen the show Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Jamie Tart, where like he comes into he comes into AFC Richmond and he starts slumping, and because of the fact that he's not an asshole, he's not playing like a dick, but as soon as you get the middle finger from the coach, he's like, oh, this is what I have to do, and he scores on the power play. It worked. It worked, and now.
Never in a million years would I thought that the show would begin with you saying that Elias Pettersson is Jamie Tart.
Hey, and you know what? Like, Jamie Tart has a chance. The Canucks fans started chanting for PD as soon as he scored. I don't see a difference.
Jamie Tart, Jamie Tart,
and Roy Kent is JT Miller.
Oh, absolutely. Did I tell you I have a book that's basically Ted Lasso fan fiction?
Is on Wattpad? Oh no, it's a book.
It's a physical book that I bought. I'm not proud of it, but I read it.
It's
anyway, let's talk about the hockey game. It was decent.
Anyways, quick recap about that second period though. Sealoves was playing really good. Like I think after that first blunder, he was starting to look like postseason Sealoves from last year. He was making saves. To be fair, I felt like he was on his stomach a little bit too much, where he tried to sprawl out for a lot of his plays. But I think this game, him sprawling out, it worked. Like
he's a baby goalie. He needs his tummy time.
He needs his tummy time. I didn't want to say it, but so thank you for saying it.
No, I regret saying it. Come on, man.
But yes, Sealoves played good during his tummy time. Anyways, going back to the hockey game. Speaking of shots, the Canucks were actually shooting on net. We had 17 registered shots in the second. Over 30 shots overall in the game. And I think our overall groove was starting to really get back together after that game. And moving on to the third, Eric Brandstrom scored his second goal, which shout outs to Mod from Game Over Ottawa. I'm pretty sure they will be very happy to hear that Brandstrom scored again. I will say Brandstrom, to me, whenever he scores, sometimes I just like both of his goals, he jumped in excitement and he's like, yes. And a part of me just wants to be like, aw, good job, proud of you, because like
I had a friend who posted it posted somewhere, I think, and she it was a picture of Brandstrom and a picture of a koala, like clip art of a koala, and she's like, this is the same to me. But Maud, I from Game Over Ottawa, shout out to her, she's amazing. I understand why she would miss Brandstrom, because just that little excitement, like that's just so great.
100%. I do find it funny how people are saying that Brandstrom is more of like a baby Quinn Hughes in the way that he plays, but his personality is the complete opposite, because Quinn Hughes will have like a stone face, bear face, and right beside him you have you have a koala bear in Brandstrom who's like, gotta do better. Great stuff by him.
Book talk girlies, get on that. I need. I don't remember the exact comment, but that TikTok comment lives in my head rent free.
Sorry, side note.
unfortunately.
I was at oh my gosh. I was in Indigo with my girlfriend, and we walked into like one of the first tables is the book talk table, and I see a
Hmm.
12-year-old girl go over and get the hockey book, and I'm like, first, where I need an employee to take away this book because
I
it's not what
just
you think.
having the whole tables and having why are there so many hockey books like that?
It works.
What it works, but like it's not good. Like I read one because of morbid curiosity. I read The Deal by L. Kennedy, and I put a tab on every time I cringed or there was like some inaccuracy or whatever. I had to use 2 sheets of like post-it flags. Like it was bad.
Ooh,
Uh, yeah.
that's not good.
Anyway, I could go on and on about book talk, but
No, it
anyway,
was
Eric
the enemy's
Brandstrom,
hockey game.
he is.
Yes, Eric Fanstrom, adorable. And overall, it was a pretty good game from the Canucks. We got 2 empty net goals by both Bluger and Miller. Miller's was from center ice, and Bluger did walk it in. Um, but I think, do you remember that practice where Tocchet was like, you have to shoot it um, from our own zone to an empty net, and if you don't score, you have to skate a lap around the ring. He's been doing that just so we could, instead of relying on getting to neutral zone to shoot, he wants us to shoot from our zone. And ever since that league practice video came out, we've been scoring a lot more empty net goals, which I'm very happy about. Not much to complain about this game. Game was really good. My one complaint though is our play on the boards. I don't know if you noticed this, but the Canucks like to play lots of bounce passes over the boards. They will dump the puck whenever they get the chance into enemy territory, but they won't be able to get the puck. I think that is their main weakness right now, in the fact that someone like Quinn Hughes or JT Miller will bounce it off the boards, but no one will be there. And there will be a puck battle behind the nets, and even though you have Garland who is able to get the puck back into play pretty easily, Garland's only one guy. What do you think about that? I guess like that complaint overall.
I mean, I think that's valid. Just the whole dump and chase thing, I thought that would have been tired out by the time Travis Green got run out of town, but like it's it's definitely an issue if you're getting beat by a team like the Chicago Blackhawks um in the Chicago zone, because it's not like the Chicago Blackhawks are in their prime again and Chelsea Dagger actually means to bring terror upon other teams. It's
I
the
hate that song.
24. I will admit it's on my playlist, but that was because of TikTok. It
Fair.
wasn't because of the Blackhawks. But I, yeah, I think that's a fair take. I think Garland is really the only one who's, I mean, maybe Hoglander as well. Maybe they're the only ones that are properly sized to get in those board battles, but
It's still
if Tyler
something that you have to
Myers
win.
comes in there, then he's getting a, yeah, true. I mean, I was going to say, if Tyler Myers is getting in there, then he's getting a match penalty for whatever. So
Also, if Tyler Myers is back there, I think he's pushed up too far.
you never
Yeah,
know.
you never
He
know.
is the chaos man.
um,
Um,
yeah,
he, yeah.
yeah. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
Myers was the post game kind of interview with Satir Shah, I believe,
Mm.
of 650 right after the game, and I was listening on the radio, and Myers was talk about Sheila. He was talking about how the team overall did not help him out whatsoever in the New Jersey game, whereas he felt like Sheila's was more able, like, they played a better game in front of them tonight, and She Loves really helped them out in the first with some big saves. So I feel like I don't know what the kind of mentality shift was there, but yeah, I'm glad they're playing well in front of She Loves, but also you should probably do that with all your goalies because you should all be playing well because you get paid millions of dollars to put a little piece of rubber into some net. Like, anyway.
Fair. Honestly, I like to imagine that as soon as they went into the locker room after last game, Točić gave the McDavid dig in speech. I like to think he does that every time and it works. It worked for the Oilers for a bit, but
Okay.
I'm just the guy online.
Yeah. I can't. I'm trying to imagine that now. It's the finals. No, it's not.
No, it's just game 16, man. We have so many more games.
It's the Chicago Blackhawks.
If we're gonna keep digging in, we're gonna go too far.
Dig in. Vancouver is built on loose sediment. There's not a lot to dig into. I mean, it's true.
Fair.
If you're in Richmond or Delta, the land you live on did not. Richmond or Delta, if you live there, the land that you live on did not exist 10,000 years ago. So, boom. Geography fact.
If you dig, there's water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No diamonds.
No diamonds. But you know what? Even though diamonds have rocks, I want to quickly talk about something that you can rock, which is the Game Over Network merch. You see it right there. See this QR code on screen if I move it up here. Well, by the way, to support us, which may be your favorite show online, which might be an up and coming show that you guys have on your radar. But one thing that you can do to help support us is by rocking our clothing. Game Over apparel has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of a retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, want to wear your love for goalies proudly with our live and die by the goalie design, we have you covered. Designed by Brian from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now, which I'll do again, and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. And a reminder to everyone watching us right now, first off, I just want to say thank you. This is meant to be an interactive show, so please, any questions that you have, Kaja and I are more than happy to answer anything from you guys. One thing I did want to quickly talk about in the second period of the stream is our lines. One thing that I started to realize, especially last game, is that when we start losing, Točić likes to change up his lines, which I don't like at all. Everything good?
Yeah, no, sorry. There's just sounds going on.
Ooh, what kind of sounds? I was kidding.
No, it's just my sister grabbing something. I don't know. So if you saw a figure, I'm obviously not my normal stream setup if you're watching the video.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I got curious too, actually. So no stress.
Yeah, it's not a ghost, just an angsty teenager. The line changes, I feel like it feels like the McDryman line from last playoffs. Like whenever the Oilers were in trouble, they brought out McDavid, Draisaitl, and Zach Hyman all on the same line because McDavid and Draisaitl are very good, and Hyman scored 50 goals once.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. When it comes to the Canucks, even though Točić doesn't really play the Lotto line, which was usually the go-to in prior years. I mean, obviously he can't do that right now because Brock Besser is out indefinitely still. Thank you, Tanner Jeannot, for that one.
He just scored, by the way. I've never been more upset by a man scoring. Sorry, I cut you off. My apologies.
No, if I speak, I will be in trouble.
Anyways.
'Cause I forgot what there was a football coach that said. I think it was Jose Mourinho or so. That sounds like something he'd say. Anyway, yeah, the line changes. It feels like it's like a panic button that they hit on the bench, where it's just like, okay, cool, scramble, and they do RNG, and it's just everything random, but nothing works out in their favor. I swear, every time, because you need that chemistry built up. You need that to continue throughout the play. Whereas if you're constantly changing who plays with who, if you're constantly moving around, nothing is going to work out right, dude.
And I will say, like, the last few games, obviously, when Dakota Joshua was out, you don't really have set lines. You do have to move them around. But especially if it's something that's happening in the middle of the game, I feel like players need to learn how to play with each other, whether they're winning or if when they need to catch up. I feel like if you have to rely on the lotto line every single time, people are gonna realize that and essentially tire them out as much as they can. So as soon as they hit the bench, you have our bottom six come out and we get destroyed. Because a lot of the times, whenever we start losing, we lose hard because we get gassed, and that's because we're playing Quinn Hughes 30 minutes a night. But like, oh, sorry, you were saying.
I was just gonna say they play Quinn Hughes 30 minutes a night, but they don't play Philip Roenick the same because he's only useful when Quinn's playing, and he also can't play 30 minutes. Anyway, that's just my take.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. And honestly, speaking about Hronik though, one thing I am curious about is I do want to see some shakeup in our defensive lineup where, like, if you look last year, they were trying to experiment a lot with Hronik with other defensemen. Like, we put him with Susi, we put him with Zadorov. But like me personally, I like the group like players like Susi, Myers, Zadorov, Juleson, and then if you look this season, you have Desharnais. They are the same defensemen. They are big men who are meant to stop the puck. But now we have Eric Brandstrom, and I'm kind of curious to see if he plays with a slightly worse Quinn Hughes, we could finally put Tyler Myers in the top two with Quinn Hughes. Because me personally, I'm a big Tyler Myers believer. I strongly believe that he plays the best when he's not the best defenseman on the ice. Like, if he is playing with Susi, like, Susi as a defenseman, like, even though he's had his fair share of mess ups, he's like Ian Cole, where he's consistent and he could just, like, stay with the puck, make sure it doesn't go in the net. He will block shots. But that leaves Tyler Myers to actually play the puck and be a puck handler sometimes. But if you rely on that all the time, as much as it's fun to watch, it's like, sorry, not fun to watch. It's funny to watch. What's it called? You're taking away what makes him great, and what makes him great is being that chaos giraffe, where if, let's say, if a puck handler moves up, and someone from the opposing team comes for a breakaway, if it's him and Tyler Myers, you already know that it's not going anywhere near our goal. What do you think about that?
I mean, it could be interesting. It feels like the D pairings are kind of, it's going to be Hughes and Hronik until the day one of them gets bought out. Hronik. Anyway, I like that idea. It's just I'm worried about like the execution, because if you put Hronik with Brandstrom, I mean, it's not like he's not skilled defensively, but Hronik isn't the best defensively, and I understand worrying about Myers controlling the puck. I worry about Hronik doing basically anything on the ice. And Eric Brandstrom, who is very good offensively, he has shown that he has 2 goals with the Canucks thus far. Yeah, I'm worried about that. I don't know. Maybe they mix it up for tomorrow night. I think, yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think having Juleson on the line with Brandstrom is necessarily driving the offense. But if you put him with Hronik, that could create some defensive issues. But
What
'cause
about
he was-
Brandstrom with Myers instead?
Brandstrom with
And then
Myers.
put Susie with Juleson. And instead of having like a top 4 rotation, you have top 2, and then you give the same amount of minutes to like the second and third defensive lines.
I could see it. I could see it. I think that would sound good. I mean, Desharnais is also probably coming back in for tomorrow night against the Preds, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I think I'd like that. I think I prefer Juleson playing over Desharnais, to be honest.
Fair.
Because I think he's more solid, I guess. Because Desharnais has this. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say understandable.
Yeah, because Desharnais has the size, but Juleson actually has he can actually be a good defensive thing, whereas Desharnais half the time he's a defensive liability as a defenseman. So
fair. I will say we have a great comment from Nothing Is Perfect. Hello again. He says that Hronik needs to be harder on the puck. He also needs to hit the nets. I think I've never yelled at my TV more for a player to shoot than Hronik, which is surprising because PD's on the same team. But like, there's times where like we've all seen Hronik's slap shot when he rips it. I just want him to rip it a little bit more. I just like analysis aside, I want to watch fun hockey. Canucks are a fun team to watch. I just want it to be funny, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like the Leon Draisaitl shootout goal that he always does, where it's just the slap shot.
Yeah, and it's you're a better player than that. I want to see some Pavel Datsyuk deeks.
Yeah, I just don't think he cares enough to do that about the shootout, especially when I think it was in the preseason when the Oilers went to a shootout against us, and that's when Draisaitl did the slap shot shoot. Anyway, no, I think Hronik needs to shoot the puck. Also needs to shoot the puck on target more because he's like the antithesis of Canucks Ilya Mikheyev. Of instead of every puck going directly into the chest of the goaltender, it goes every other way except for at the goaltender. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there.
But that's all good. Hey, you know what? We have. I'm gonna sound like a broken record again because I'm an optimist, but we have so many more games left in the season. A lot of these right now, like, to me personally, they're all hiccups. Like, even though a lot of the losses were bad, sure, we had someone throw a jersey onto the ice, which is unexcusable, but I don't see these as, oh man, we're just gonna lose for the rest of the year. I trust in this team to actually come back.
Yeah, I trust in the team to come back, and I honestly think that they have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs again, and having a run because they seem more built for the playoffs, even though they can't string 3 wins together. I mean, except if they're on the road. So I'm still confident in this team. It just feels that when they lose bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of sucks the wind out of you. Whereas if they win, it's like, okay, cool, life is good. And then they get shelled 6-0 the next game, and it's just, oh, wow, we're 7-3 against the Oilers, who they beat 8-1 in their first game last season against each other. And shoot, what was even the score of the Isles game the other night? Because that was also bad.
I took that game out of my memory. It's 5-2, which I feel like it was worse than that. Purely
I feel like
based
it was
off of
worse
the
to
vibes.
listen to. Based
That's
off
fair.
the vibes, yeah.
I
It feel like it was worse to listen to.
I will say though, did you see the highlights from the game? because the Tyler Myers goal that he had, like he became a veteran for like 5 seconds. And
Yeah, I
think
did
that,
see
like,
that.
going back to my Tyler Myers point, I do want to see more of that sometimes when it's fun. Um, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, the Chris Paul cuts the lead to 42 moment.
Hey, Sorry, I'm a Suns fan too. I was watching that game at the Wings in Newton, and me and my friend, we were sitting at the bar, eating wings, really sad with their Suns jerseys, and the commentator makes the comment of Chris Paul just what's it called? Chris Paul just shortened the lead to
Cuts the
40.
lead to 42.
And then the two other people at the bar with Dallas Mavericks jerseys look at us and they're like, "Wait, how much are we leading by?" And then like they were nice guys, but we were just chirping.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've never felt. I think that's why I'm an optimist, because that's my rock bottom.
I was a big optimist about sports, and then the first season I did Game Over was the 22-23 Canucks season. So that has altered my brain chemistry. It's really bad because I'm an optimist for like a lot of my sports teams.
Oh yeah.
And then when it comes to the Canucks, I'm just like, oh, we're the worst team in the league. I remember texting that to a friend and it's like, oh, the Canucks suck. And then I got a screenshot back that was the Canucks are at the top of the NHL.
Actually, super quick, another good comment from Nothing is Perfect, where he says that Jolson pulled a Hronik tonight and was facing the wrong way on the goal against. I agree. If there's any lineup change, he may come out. However, he shouldn't beat himself up as he has not played much this year. I think with Jolson, and I say this every single time Jolson plays, I love him on the PK. I hate him on 5-on-5. He's completely different player when he's 5-on-5 because he actually tries to make plays, but every single time he tries to make plays, he goes for a hit and overextends, and the other team scores. He did what he did this year, where his back was facing away from the puck, and Mikheyev scores, or he gets a penalty and they score on the power play. I feel like that is just Noel Jolson's game in a nutshell. I'm glad to say that the Chaos Rhino has like somewhat stayed with the Canucks and Jolson.
Wait, Chaos Rhino?
That was Zadorov's nickname.
That was his nickname?
According to Reddit.
I never heard that.
Yeah, it's because they paired him and Tyler Myers together. So they wanted to make something.
I remember that. Yeah. Anyway, I never heard that nickname. That's weird.
Yeah. What are your? I mean, looking at like the overall season, what are your thoughts about Jolson as a seventh man?
I think I like the idea of him as a seventh man. Honestly, like yeah, sure, he's not very good 5-on-5, but at the same time, if he is paired, that's why I feel like the Branston Jolson pairing should break up. If he's paired with somebody who is pretty decent defensively, then I think that
even out.
It evens out. Yeah.
Yeah, give him Carson Soucy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I feel like he has the eye for plays. He just chooses the wrong one every single time. So I feel like with more experience, he'd be able to play the game right.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, moving on to our next segment. If there isn't any more questions from chat, I just want to quickly remind everyone that, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the Game Over Vancouver channel. It means a lot from us, especially since all of us here, we all enjoy what's it called, being parts of the Game Over network. And speaking of which, one additional way that you can help us out is by sponsoring us through crowdfunding. We are open through Patreon as well as LaRouche, which is a platform for all Quebec startups. All of the links to these are in the description below. And I moving on to the third period, I wanted to talk about something that I'm actually really excited to talk about. This as a beginner journalist, I always wanted to, those Twitter threads where they're like, "Hear me out. This happened, and this is why X did Y." So, if you guys don't know, the Canucks have a dog, a resident dog. His name is Eddie. He's named after the best Vancouver Canuck goalie in the eyes of Tortorella.
He's actually not.
Oh,
He's actually not.
really?
He's named after Edler.
Oh, okay. That's a lot better.
Yeah. No, and then Eddie Lack was just like, oh, I'm sure the name has a double meaning because Eddie Lack's hilarious. But yeah, it was.
I didn't
It was
actually
named.
know. I just
He was
wanted.
named after. Yeah.
Adley.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No worries. I just wanted to say the part about him being the best goalie in the eyes of Tortorella.
I love Eddie Lack.
I love Eddie Lack.
I will never forgive John Tortorella for that. I still I watch him with the Flyers and I'm like, oh no.
Side note to everyone, if you guys follow Eddie Lack on Twitter, he is Luongo levels of funny.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's so funny. Here, let me just pull up a tweet from Eddie Lack earlier today. Sorry, this is to anyone who has watched the shows with me and Kaja. This is the part where we stop talking about hockey. Well, not stop talking about hockey, but more so
We're still talking about hockey.
This is
talking
where
about Eddie
ADHD
Lack.
just starts to
who let
really
in 5
feel.
goals at BC Place.
Oh, actually, no. I'm looking at it now. I don't think I can show this on stream. But anyways, go to Eddie Lack's Twitter and you will see.
Oh my gosh.
I'll show you later, Kaja. But anyways,
Okay.
moving on to my statement. So, the history of the Canucks having a dog first started in the beginning of the 2023-2024 season. His name was Rip in honor of Rick Rippon, and immediately he became a spark plug to the team. He gave Kuzmenko the biggest smiles I've seen on Kuzmenko, which says a lot because he smiles a lot. And as soon as he meets Kevin Bieksa, he bites him, which is great. And he stayed with the team for a little bit. It was a lab, I believe, but unfortunately he had some health complications, and on February 4, the Canucks announced that he unfortunately passed away. Now we have, like I mentioned, a new Canuck pup. You can follow him on Instagram. Super cute. His name is Eddie, like we just discussed. He, as a dog, he made Heronic smile, and he made Heronic talk. That's the most I've ever seen Heronic talk in an Instagram video.
A dog who cannot speak English is more able to get Phil Hronik to talk than anyone in Vancouver media. So or just hockey media in general. So honestly, good boy.
Good boy.
Yeah, they're training dogs they're training guide dogs, right?
Mm-hmm. It was the BC Alberta. Actually, let me get the name. It's a BC guide dog and training with my friends from the Canucks this season. It's a BC guide dog in training. Yes.
Yeah. So it goes for a good purpose. I know a lot of teams have team dogs and stuff.
Yeah. So
I don't. Sorry.
Fair. Sorry, I cut you off. That's
I
my
was
apologies.
just gonna say something about Ted Lasso again, but
what is it?
Do you think that what's his name? Danny Rojas and the dog in season 2, is that can we relate that to Pettersson's play with, I
think Danny Rojas is the dog. I think he's he has such an infectious energy. He enters the locker room and immediately brightens up the room.
Talk about your reasoning for this though.
Oh yes, okay. So the whole reason why we're talking about the Canucks pup is I fully believe that um when how do I say this? I fully believe that the reason behind Elias Pettersson's slump is because the Canucks did not have a resident dog. Hear me out. So, before February 5, 2024, in that season, so Elias Pettersson, he had an Ironman season, played all 82 games in that season. In 51 games, he registered 24 goals, 38 assists, so 62 points. He was point per game with 1.22 points during that season. If we add in the season before that, where he hit 102 points, he was 1.25 points per game average. So after the All-Star break and after Rip unfortunately passed away, he played a total of 44 games, which includes the latter half of the season and the playoffs. During that time, he had 11 goals, 22 assists, 33 points, point per game 0.75. Even in the playoffs, point per game 0.46. Horrible. What's it called? And in that 44 games, that does also include the games before Eddie joined the team. So that was from the beginning of the season up until January 7. As soon as Eddie joined the team, in that
January 7th?
sorry, did I say January 7?
You said January 7th.
I'm so sorry. Okay, let me repeat that. Ever since November 7th. Sorry, ready? Ever since November 7th of this season, when Eddie joined the team, in 4 games, which include today's game, he has scored 3 goals. Let me see if he got an assist actually in one of the empty net goals. So he scored 3 goals. He has had 2 assists and 5 points. So his point per game is 1.25, the same point per game average from the time their Rip was a Canuck pup. I fully believe that as long as Eddie is a part of the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson will become a franchise player. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, he already kind of is a franchise player. I'm not gonna lie.
But he will live up to the potential of being a franchise player.
Yeah, I see it. I feel like it's more of a coincidence, but I appreciate a good theory, so I agree with you. I think it's having Eddie, the lead. He's a black lab. Yeah, having Eddie, definitely a good sign for the Canucks. I really liked the video that the Canucks posted where Eddie is just trying to eat Pettersson's sweater. That's just a very puppy thing to do. I remember for the first 6 months of my dog's life, I could not wear fluffy socks around him, so there's that.
Yeah, I think that's like if we're thinking just overall, like all jokes aside, I fully believe that like a good locker room is an integral part to the season, with a lot of our downfalls being a mental thing. And even looking at chat, Smoking Fish says puppies cure the seasonal depression. I 100% agree. Like, if I leave for work, it's dark. I come home, it's dark. But if I come home to Eddie, I'm happy.
Exactly. I mean, since it's dark, you might not see him right away, but I think so. I get that. Puppies cure seasonal depression. It's yeah. I like being around my dog, even though he sometimes barks when I'm trying to do a show. Obviously. So apologies if anyone heard that, but yeah, I think Eddie's definitely been a morale boost. I think Philip Roenick prefers dogs over people, which valid.
Valid. Like,
So
have you seen his interview with his dogs?
I actually haven't watched
Oh,
most. I think because they did it with like a bunch of different players,
yep,
right?
they did.
Yeah. Okay, I watched the Besser one because obviously. But I don't think I watched the Philip Roenick one, or like haven't watched it the full way through. So I'll have to go back and find that. But yeah, I know he has a dog.
Nothing is perfect in chat says my dog Dolly was in my lap for the first 2 Vancouver goals. He gets the first star. You know what? Those 2 goals were also beauties. So if you can do us a favor and keep your dog on your lap every single time the Canucks play, I think that is the key to success in this season. And before we get into overtime, which essentially, if you guys haven't been here already, is where we open the floor to the chat to ask any question that you guys might have. I want to quickly shout out Game on Hockey and the future Game on Vancouver, which will be a short form daily news podcast hosted by myself, Mark Sianquita, as well as Zach Clarke. We are going through a rebound right now, but as soon as that's released, we will keep you updated with every single thing Canucks related. Um, did you, Kaja, have any questions that you want to bring up or talk about today?
Oh,
Because if not, I do have one. Sorry, I put you on the spot right away.
I was just gonna mention Lekari Meki's still being brought up, and Aturatu, whereas because they was constantly just sending Lekari Meki, Ratu, and Archdeep Baines back down to Abbotsford and back up to Vancouver, and it's not like back in like Utica days where they had to like fly across the continent. It's literally just like an hour drive from Vancouver to Abbotsford. At the same time, what are your thoughts about like not bringing Archdeep Baines back up, or did they recall him recently, or am I just losing my mind?
I believe here. I
It's
have
like
to
I
look
feel
it
like
up.
he was still sent
I
down.
think he was sent down, and they only brought up Likaramaki and
Yeah,
Aturatu.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, oh wow, we only brought up 2 of the usual 3.
Yeah, I think it's because Dak is back, and
Yes.
we need goals, and Likaramaki will give you that. Like, he's a pure goal scorer. Archdeep, I see him in terms of the same level as like Garland and Hoglander, where they will dig for the puck as much as you want. In like he forechecks hard. That's why Tocchet likes him, in my opinion, because of the fact that he forechecks hard. He might not give you anything else, but he is, I guess, like the pinnacle of what Tocchet sees as a role player. I will say that we don't really need that many more players. Hence why I'm happy that we have Likaramaki instead.
Yes.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Christopher Sim in chat says rank the Canucks based off of their faces. I would rather do hair.
Okay, well, Neil Zoman got sent down, so we don't.
He doesn't count anymore. Kiefer Sherwood, gorgeous man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quinn Hughes specifically when he's mad.
That's the thing. You can't tell. It's like that one. It's like he's either emotionless or just like in terror. He's like that one image of where it's Darth Vader, copy pasted, and it's all his different emotions, but it's just the same face because it's Darth Vader and he has a mask on. I feel like that's Quinn Hughes. At times, I'm not sure. I think I don't wanna rank the attractiveness of NHL players at the moment. I feel like we already talked about book talk, and that was a little too far.
No,
so
that's very fair. Interesting. Okay. Actually, question for you. How do you feel, just because I have my own opinion on this, but how do you feel about the whole what's it called? Bringing up two-way players and then sending them back down every single day. Because
I
like,
mean,
oh, actually, sorry, you first. You first.
well, I was just gonna say it's probably annoying. like, do you trust them or do you not trust them? And I get it, you need the players in order to like have a roster that's acceptable by NHL terms. At the same time, like, are you paying for their gas mileage? Like, that's a lot. I would imagine a lot of the players do still live in Vancouver, even if they're getting sent down to Abbotsford. Like again, it's only an hour drive, but at the same time, I mean, if you're not playing them in Abbotsford, I don't necessarily see what the point is. I understand it's like a paper transaction, but you know what? I'm gonna let Patrick Alvin do Patrick Alvin things. It's worked out pretty well so far, so
Fair.
that's it.
Makes sense. I think knowing your management right now, it's something that's been discussed with like Likirimaki, Baines, Aturatu, because of the fact that what's it called? It's either like they keep them in the AHL and then they just get paid the AHL reduced wages, which if you guys don't know, players can sign two-way contracts where if they are in the AHL, the Canucks technically don't pay their wages, but they get paid less. So when it comes to people like Likirimaki coming in, he gets paid his full wages, which is the rookie minimum, I believe. Yeah, so the rookie minimum, but when he gets sent back down, it's kind of like they're cutting his wages. I think though that it's something that they've discussed with the players themselves. But my one, I guess, fear is that people start to compare it to Vegas's abuse of the LTIR, which, knowing, I might be, I guess, like a typical Canucks fan and say that everyone's against this, but the, what are your thoughts, if you have any?
Um, I mean, usually I don't have any thoughts, but I would say I don't, because Vegas was so blatant, I feel, about it, and because they were constantly good and they were constantly bringing back people, and it's not like they weren't injured. Like, who knew you could like puncture a spleen or whatever happened to Mark Stone last year? But I feel like the scrutiny on Vegas is because it always happened in the latter half of the season, too, where and then they'd be fine for playoffs because Vegas had made playoffs except for 1 year. So I feel like that is also the pressure. I feel like people staring at the Canucks cap situation, it's not going to fall under the same scrutiny. Just purely from like a attention standpoint, because Vegas is constantly good, because they keep doing this, because Vegas also has a really weird relationship with a lot of their players. In my opinion, as somebody who's very much so an outsider, that's just what it feels like. And yeah, I think because Vegas has been constantly doing this, because it's also like Vancouver's not the first team. I think it was Alex Nylander when he was with the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. He kept getting sent down to their AHL team like every other day, it felt like. So people were making jokes about it. And I feel like that's the same situation right now with the Canucks. I feel like it's not really as big a deal across the league with compared to what Vegas has been doing. And I mean, yeah, granted, your players can be injured, and that's completely fine. And you know what? If they found a loophole, then good on them. But with the Canucks, yeah, I mean, they are treading on thin waters. Who knows what punishment they're going to get for that? But hey, hopefully it's not what the Arizona Coyotes got a couple years back. I mean, before they got killed. Well, not
Rest in
killed.
peace.
They Rest in peace, Arizona Coyotes. You were good to us.
Yeah, I will say I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I just wanted to bring it up because I started to see people be like, "Hey, the Canucks are doing something that will give them an extra $5 million in cap space during trade deadline," and I see that, and I'm like, "Too bad. We're gonna
Yeah,
get
like
we're gonna get a top four defenseman at trade deadline. We'll get
I
Rasmus Anderson somehow."
we're not gonna get Rasmus Anderson. I feel like it's just like loopholes are so funny to me because we rag on the Golden Knights a lot, or we rag on like people or like teams that like still hold on to old player contracts when their players are never gonna play in the NHL again, but they like stick them on LTIR. Like that's such a constant thing that is talked about in this league. Recent example being Vegas, high profile, they win the cup, they do all this, blah blah blah. But it's just like it's GMs, it's some GMs playing chess while others are playing checkers. Like it's kind of that situation of, yeah, your GM's just smarter than my GM. So what? You're still in the wrong? Like, no. Get over yourself. Like your GM, it's weird. Like people should be focusing on what their team does with their cap, and it's like, okay, well, why can't we be like them? And as long as it flies under the proper books with the NHL, with the NHLPA, as long as it is all fine with them, I don't understand why it's such a big issue. I mean, it's fun to complain about Vegas doing the LTIR thing over and over again. At the same time, players get injured. That's part of the game. I think it's a good thing that they let the players rest in order for the playoffs rather than, oh, it's hockey, you have to be tough. Well, then you get situations like Elias Pettersson. Like, anyway, I think that if you find a loophole and it's a legal loophole, go ahead, go for it.
Fair. I think we got time for one more question. Somewhat fun one, in my opinion. What's one aspect of Rogers Arena that you wish they could change? And let's take the easy answer out. Let's not talk about seats, just because they're gonna. I mean, they're replacing them anyways, but I still think it's stupid that there's no cup holders in all the seats.
I mean, they're putting. I think they're putting cup holders in all the seats.
They
now.
are putting cup holders in the seats,
Okay.
and the fact that us as Canucks fans are rejoicing about that is like the bare minimum.
It's
like good job at
ridiculous.
I like.
It's so ridiculous. I really, to me, it's like a non-issue, but for so many people, they're so fired up about the seats being red, or the seats like, okay, sure, they don't have cup holders, and that's a bit annoying. A lot of rinks don't have cup holders. The only venue that I can think of where all the seats have, or majority of the seats have cup holders is BC Place. Like that's the only place I could think of. And I mean, the BC Place, half of them are broken anyway. That's another story. When it comes to Rogers Arena, it just feels really stuffy at sometimes. And I've been watching some of the Amazon Monday night broadcasts on Prime, and they have a segment where they have a desk in a concourse on the arena, in the arena, and I just sitting here wondering, are the Canucks having a home broadcast of this show? And if they are, where are they putting the desk? Because there is no way, there's no way that fits around Rogers Arena. I mean, I could talk, there's so much about Rogers Arena. Like there's, the stairs in the upper bowl are way too high.
I feel like I'm gonna fall every time I'm in the upper bowl.
It's like they're higher than normal stairs. And it's so weird. It's like the stairs at the Langley Event Center are oddly about the same, like in the main bowl area. But yeah, I think that's not as big an issue as the roof leaks a bit. That's kind of a problem
really?
when you're there's like a constant. I mean, the arena is
it's old.
30 years old.
Yeah.
Almost. Next year it'll be 30. So happy birthday. Yeah, they started playing there in 95, I believe.
Sounds
I
about right.
don't exactly remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't alive. Um,
Yeah, because they
but
played the '94 finals in Pacific Coliseum, so it
yes,
makes
yeah,
sense.
it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's also not like Vancouver has the space to just build a new arena because downtown is basically done space wise, and they're not going to build one all the way out in Surrey.
And plus, the
Even though,
location is peak in my opinion. Like, sure, it's crowded, but as
Mhm,
an urban arena, it's great just to be able to skytrain
yeah,
there right away. You have a Costco right there too. I think the one change that they should do is have a bridge that connects directly from the Costco to the Rogers Arena, and then have a separate entrance for Costco goers. But it's obviously not going to work because it's on the other side of the street. But
I was going to say it's very specific. I was going to say having a thing between Stadium, Chinatown, and Rogers
mm,
because you have to go down the stairs and then you have to cross the street and then you have to go all the way up the stairs again to get back in the stadium. I don't know. That's one, but that would require a lot of different probably permits, and also you have to go under. A, actually, do you have to go under? No, you don't have. Or do you? I'm not very good at engineering, obviously, but I think that could help. Um, I think, but yeah, I just think if you renovate the arena, like which they're doing, granted, then it should be fine. Yeah. Also, just maybe can you keep the mini donuts sales going after the game too? Because
actually,
like,
though, they always
eh,
stop. Like, I learned this the hard way. They will stop 10 minutes into the third,
yep,
which is so annoying. Because you always create, like, after the first bag of mini donuts is done at like 10 minutes into the first, like you're full, but so you drink pop in the second period. Third period, everyone goes to the washroom during the second intermission, and you're like, "Ah, I don't want to go and get stuff yet." But then once the third period starts, you're like, I'm craving mini donuts again. So you go out and everything's closed. That's completely valid.
yeah. I mean, and also I don't know, just make tickets less expensive.
Unfortunately, never
Make
gonna
tickets
happen. I wish.
never gonna happen, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
I think
will.
if they had, sorry,
Sorry, I will just say, I will give a special shout out. If anyone is in chat and you are a student, the Canucks actually have a student rush program,
yep,
which I'm a part of.
same.
Nice. I I saw the email too late because right now it's all just single tickets, but there's tickets tomorrow for only $50 in the lower bowl. But they're all singles, like no pairs,
I mean,
which isn't too bad. I'm still tempted to
you,
go, but
yeah, like I mean that's pretty good. I remember they did a college night a couple years back and it was against Nashville and it was
mm,
like March something and a friend of mine, we're both students, so we went to the game and they also gave you like a this was the 22-23 season, so the Canucks were also pretty bad. But they gave you like a food voucher and everything, sign up beforehand and yeah, it was a pretty fun night.
nice.
But yeah, student rush definitely because you can also get messages for the Vancouver Warriors for
Mm,
lacrosse. So
true.
that's something really funny.
Nice. Awesome. I think we shall have. Oh, sorry. We shall have. I think that brings this episode to a close. Once again, my name is Mark. This is Kaya. Oh, this is Kaya. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us here at the Game Over Vancouver Network, and we hope to see you soon. Have a good night, guys.